You know the funny thing about private investigations? Someone's going to start talking eventually. And whoever that someone is, talk to the lady that's been breaking everything lately in the WNBA, and now the entire league is abuzz. Yesterday evening, I was minding my own business, just scrolling on Twitter, as I do, right? When I saw a bombshell of a post by Annie Costabile of the Chicago Sun-Times, when she posted this, alleging that the Storm coaching staff is under investigation for alleged player mistreatment. Now, hours later, we saw a bevy of tweets and articles largely stating very similar things. So, what is going on with the Seattle Storm, and who are the cast of characters involved? Well, let's dive into it in this video. So, according to Annie's report, the alleged mistreatment involves accusations related to harassment and bullying tied to on-court performance during this past 2024 season. The incidents reportedly occurred during practices and games for the Seattle Storm. And the allegation is towards members of the coaching staff. And in order to investigate these claims, a law firm was hired by the Seattle Storm and has been working on this for the past 2 weeks. And no one is talking. No one official is talking, publicly at least. The WNBPA is aware of the situation, but mum's the word. They are not disclosing any details. The Seattle Storm as an organization and the WNBA, it's mum's the word for them too. They are refusing to comment on the matter. So this is a thing that that clearly everybody wanted to keep under wraps, but somehow, some way, Annie ended up finding out the information and has made all this stuff public. Since the coaching staff is a major piece of the investigation, let's talk about them. We do have Coach Noelle Quinn, aka Noe, who has been the head coach of the team since 2021. Before she was the head coach, she was an assistant coach for a couple of years for the Seattle Storm. She recently did just sign a multi-year extension to continue as the head coach for the Seattle Storm. So that's a thing. And she's one of the highest tenured coaches in the W. And that's kind of crazy considering she's only been with the team for a couple years as the head coach. Okay, so for the assistant coaches, we got Perry Hung, who has been with the team since 2021. We got Ebony Hoffman, former W player. She's been on the assistant coaching staff since 2022. And we have Pokey Chapman, formerly of the LSU Tigers and the Chicago Sky. If y'all remember, she used to be the head coaches of those teams. She became a assistant coach with the Seattle Storm in 2022. Also, she is serving as the associate GM as well. That was a position that she got in 2023. Now, the GM for the Seattle Storm is Talisa Ray. And so her and Pokey Chapman work on that GM stuff together. Now, here's the thing about the Seattle Storm. Seattle Storm, they made a lot of big moves. In last year's offseason. They acquired two of the best free agents at the time, which was Skylar Diggins-Smith and Nneka Ogwumike. A lot of teams were trying to get those two players, and the Seattle Storm was able to scoop them up and solidify that, partially due to the player amenities that the team has. They just, last offseason, they unveiled a new practice facility that looks fire. It looks really, really good. And that is kind of helping them sort of recruit players, knowing that they will have fantastic amenities, I would say. This is a team that, yes, did improve from 2023 to 2024. In 2023, they were trash, really trash. They had Jewel Lloyd, but she was kind of the end-all be-all. They only won 11 games in 2023. Last season in 2024, that just ended, they won 25 games. So yeah, sure, improvement, yes. You go from 11 wins to 25 wins. Great improvement. But, guys, this team still severely underperformed. They got swept by the Aces in the first round, and they were done from there. They weren't really a challenge really at all. So here's the thing. We come into 2024 with high expectations for the Seattle Storm. The reason why is because they bring in two of the best free agents that are proven winners, right? You bring in Skylar Diggins-Smith, who can really lead the charge as your starting PG and make a huge impact in terms of scoring. You also bring in Nneka Ogwumike, who's one of the top post players in the country, both on offense and defense. You already have the reigning scoring champ from 2023 in Jewell Loyd. There were talks about Gabby Williams eventually returning to the team. We all know who she is. You have Sammy Whitcomb, who is a player who can come off the bench and give you some threes and give you a good spark. You have a player like a Jordan Horston who showed a lot of promise in 2023, and 2024 was really going to be her year to really break out. And then you just had a lot of other role players. And also, I can't forget Ezi Magmagor. In my opinion, either the third or fourth best defender in the entire WNBA. You don't want to go against her. She's going to block your shot. And also, she's a bona fide scorer as well. So you had a really, really good squad coming into it. And it was like, okay, well, if these players stay relatively healthy, you could make some noise. But we saw losses that shouldn't have been losses. We saw Jewell Loyd really deflate as the player that we knew her to be, to where she just wasn't as efficient, or she wasn't as impactful, I would say, for her team. She wasn't scoring as much. Like, her stats were overall down, and it just didn't work out. Skylar and Nneka brought a spark, but I would argue not as much of a spark as was anticipated. Jordan Horston didn't make that giant leap that was expected. Ezi was fine. But some of the pieces that you were really relying on, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. So in my opinion, yes, the Seattle Storm underperformed. Yeah, if you're just looking on paper, sure, they did better than 2023. But if you look at the types of players they brought in, what those players could do, and ultimately how this team performed, no, they underperformed, in my opinion. Well, what do y'all think? Let me know in the chat. And you had players who talk, right? We heard from Nneka Ogwumike a couple weeks ago, who ended up giving an interview and saying this. She seemed to be very, very happy.
I mean, I've had so many different coaches. I've connected with so many different coaches. I don't think I've ever looked at a coach and seen myself in a coach, perhaps, like the way that I have with not even just Noelle, but with Eb as well. I played with Eb, so there's already that existing relationship there.
You're old, bro.
I know.
Yeah, that's the first sign. That's the first sign.
I know.
No, I'm kidding. You're not.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny because I was telling my teammates, I was like, yeah, Eb was my vet my rookie year. They're like, Eb played? I was like, oh my God.
That's the worst.
Yeah, where do you think she came from?
That's the
You know what I'm
worst.
saying?
She just likes basketball? No, she played. What are you talking about?
I'm like, absolutely. She was good. She's a champion. I'm like, come on, relax.
Yeah,
but yeah, just being able to kind of relate to my coach in that way, it's cliche, but seeing someone that you see yourself in, there's things that you don't necessarily have to explain, like when you're communicating with your coach. And I would say that even, not even just being a Black woman in the WNBA who's played in the WNBA, I would say that, if you're generalizing it a little bit more, or if you're kind of stripping the categories away, even playing, someone who has played, you guys know it's different when, it may be different because Sue, you and Noe were so close in age and you guys had played together, but still there's just a different type of relationship you can have with someone who knows you on that level, because I just feel like that type of experience is just not something you can ever teach, And I think too, though, being an older player and having a coach like Noelle it's impacting me in ways that perhaps other people may not experience, not necessarily negatively or more positively, but I just think that my connection at this point in my career with what I've experienced and what she's experienced, there's just so much that aligns.
So yeah, that's what Nneka said. She was very happy, it seemed, with the coaching staff for the Seattle Storm. But you had a player like a Jewell Loyd, who, as I said, her stats were not as great as they were in 2023. Of course, her points were going to go down a little bit, but like I think they went down a little bit further than I was expecting. And she just didn't play like herself, in my opinion. And it didn't help that her mom posted well on the Facebook post of this story breaking. And she retweeted the Twitter version of this breaking news. So clearly, Mama Loyd must know something. She must know something. On Twitter in September, Miss Loyd, Gwendolyn Loyd, she ended up posting, "You can't make points if the coach won't put you in the game or won't make plays for you." Now, was she talking about Seattle? I don't know. Possibly. Yeah, it's in cases like this, is really about kind of trying to read the tea leaves and see what people are trying to say and try to make some connections here and there. Now, Jewell Loyd is a pretty low key person. Like, it's not likely that we're gonna hear from Jewell Loyd what exactly the issue is, if she has experienced the issue. Like, she won't tell us, probably. We're probably more likely to hear it from her mom than anything, because she's low key. That's a style. And nothing wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that. But I did kind of I don't know if y'all watch Angel Reese's podcast, but she interviews lots of interesting people. Like, maybe they're just regular famous, or they're basketball famous, or whatever. But she interviewed Funny Marco, who, he knows a little bit of something. He knows a little bit of something about the WNBA. He clearly watches somewhat. And he had this to say about Jewell Loyd. Now, take this with a grain of salt, because this is a very unserious, in this situation, person. But I just kind of thought it was funny that he said this about Jewell Loyd.
Jewell Loyd. Joy was going crazy. She slowed down this season. I don't think she want to be there.
You're just the
She wanna
GM.
come
You
to
know it
Chicago.
all.
She don't
Yo,
wanna
you need
be-
to work. You
she
need to come
don't-
work with Chicago.
Yeah, she don't need to be. She don't want to be in.
She from
Seattle no
Chicago.
more.
Do you want to get her to Chicago?
Yeah, she need to come there.
Jewel.
Her and Carter will go crazy.
All right, now, mind you, the investigation was triggered by complaints from multiple players. So it's not just one player that was involved in this. Multiple players are alleging mistreatment by the coaching staff. Multiple. And in terms of upcoming free agents, there's quite a lot of them for the Seattle Storm. You got 6 players that can walk. We got Gabby Williams, Sammy Wickham, Nneka Ogwumike, Mercedes Russell, Victoria Vivian, and Joyner Holmes. Skylar Diggins-Smith and Jewell Loyd are both under contract until 2026. So that's the story. That's what we know so far. I will keep y'all posted on updates as they happen. I'm sure the situation will continue to progress. We're going to continue to get updates, and I will keep you all posted. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you all think about this whole entire situation, because this is a mess. This is a mess, man. This was the best of times for the WNBA in this past year. This was the worst of times in terms of some of the allegations, in terms of just drama that's happening. It's just insane. It's just insane. The negative information just continues to spread around the WNBA. Now, what will I say? I got 2 things to say, actually, about this whole situation. Number one, y'all, Annie Costable is a lady that don't miss. This lady don't miss at all when it comes to her stories, man. She's always breaking something, some sort of news about the WNBA, and even if y'all don't like it, she don't care. She about to put that stuff out there. Man, she is a lot of y'all just primarily know her as like a Sky beat reporter, but no, she's actually the WNBA reporter for the Chicago Sun-Times. It's just because she's in Chicago, she covers a lot of Sky stuff, but like, she is a WNBA reporter. So yeah, she's gonna break stories like the Seattle one. She's gonna break stories like the Indiana Fever and Stephanie White going there. She's going to break stories like what was happening in the Chicago locker room, regardless if y'all like it or not. This lady don't seem to miss with her stories. Man. Secondly, I will say that we don't know if this is true, but if it is, this is a terrible look for an organization that has such a historic, opinion for a lot of WNBA fans. We all know the Seattle Storm as an organization that was really, really built on Lauren Jackson and Sue Bird. And it's always seemed like such an awesome place to put the players first. And yes, they did go through a scandal with Brian Agler. Maybe we'll talk about that in another situation. But overall, it wasn't any negative things really happening outside of coming out of Seattle. Like, it was a team that was beloved by the fans, so much so that when the Seattle Supersonics were leaving to become the OKC Thunder, the team was bought by local investors to ensure that the Seattle Storm stayed in Seattle. So this is a terrible look for the organization because they really are a destination for players. They're a player-first kind of organization. And especially with the fact that they just got that new facility and whatnot, they were trying to get some big fish in free agency. So, we'll find out more. But I can guarantee you this, guys. Heads will roll. And we will possibly see one or two on the coaching staff get fired. Possibly even Noe herself. Guys, I'm going to leave you with the immortal war. So yeah, that's it. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And I'm going to leave you with the immortal words of Joey Swoll. Coaches, if this is true, mind your business. You need to do better. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.